Welcome to Bible Revelations, my friends. Today we're going to be doing episode 62E, still in the book of Daniel, starting at verse 23. Here we go. Then it was that the king himself became very glad, and Daniel himself he commanded to be lifted up out of the pit. And Daniel was lifted up out of the pit, and there was no hurt at all found on him, because he had trusted God. Okay, what happened before was Daniel was one of the three governors that were appointed over 120 satraps. The satraps and the governors, most if not all of them were corrupt, and they wanted Daniel to fall in line, take bribes, let them do their corrupt stuff so that they could, make extra money on the side. But Daniel was loyal to the king and believed, being a Christian, that he should be an ethical, honest employee. If the king was his employer, that he had to serve him to his best ability. Anyway, so he would not take bribes, and so they plotted against him, had him, tricked him, because they knew his only weakness was that he prayed 3 times a day. I think that figures prominently in this chapter, that Daniel prayed 3 times a day, facing Jerusalem, where he came from, to God, and on his knees. And Daniel was very, very blessed. Anyway, so the king liked Daniel, and the king valued Daniel, his honesty and his productivity and efficiency. The king was forced to put him in the lion pit, but God had protected him all night. And so in the morning, when Daniel was unharmed, the king was very happy. That's what we're picking up right here. He's very happy. And the king commanded, and they brought these able-bodied men who had accused Daniel into the lion's pit. They threw them. And into the lion's pit they threw them. So all the conspirators, probably the other 2 governors and the 120 satraps, or the ones, probably the main ones that had pushed the king, influenced the king to throw Daniel into the lion's pit. They were thrown into the lion's pit. Into the lion's pit they threw them, their sons and their wives. And they had not reached the bottom of the pit before the lions had got the mastery over them, and all their bones they crushed. It sounds like there wasn't too many of them, because the lions killed them before they hit the bottom of the pit. That's irrelevant. But the king knew he had been tricked. He didn't appreciate that. He killed the conspirators and all their families. Probably as an example, but also he didn't want the son growing up 15 years later and coming to kill the king out of revenge. Verse 25. Then it was that Darius the king himself wrote to all the peoples, the national groups, and the tongues that are dwelling in all the earth. May your peace grow very much. From before me there has been put through an order that in every dominion of my kingdom people are to be quaking and fearing before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and one enduring to times indefinite. And his kingdom is one that will not be brought to ruin, and his dominion is forever. Whoa. So Darius is proclaiming all of his dominion all of his kingdom, that people should be quaking and fearing before the God of Daniel. Darius is admitting that Jehovah is the one true God. He is, verse 27, He is rescuing and delivering and performing signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. For He has rescued Daniel from the paw of the lions. And as for this Daniel, he prospered in the kingdom of Darius and in the kingdom of Cyrus the Persian. That's the end of Daniel chapter 6. Now I'll read some of the concordance notes. Daniel is seen praying in the 2nd chapter when he is a young man, and he is still praying in the 6th chapter when he is elderly. At least 4 things mark Daniel's prayer life. Number 1, his personal faith. Some scholars believe that Daniel had a prayer chamber built on top of his house, with the windows permanently opened towards Jerusalem. It was an act of faith on the part of an exiled Jew to pray 3 times a day toward the land from which he had been taken captive. Sorry I don't talk that much. 2, piety. He prayed toward Jerusalem in response to the Word of God, as it is delineated in 1 Kings verses 8, book 8, chapters verses 35 and 36. He got on his knees and prayed, a sign of reverence and humility. Daniel could have become arrogant as the chief administrator of the whole Medo-Persian Empire, but he recognized that he was merely a servant in the hands of an omnipotent God. So Daniel was stepping back from his own personal struggles. He was a slave, taken captive. His friends and families were slaves. I'm certain he had issues, a lot of problems, and was wondering, where's God in all this? How can I be so persecuted? But he took a step back to look down at the big picture, or more likely the medium picture. I'm starting to see myself. It's very hard to see the big picture. I don't think we are capable. But the medium picture, and that God was his God, created him on the earth. He just had to do the best he could and fulfill his duty, which was, we are put here to worship God. That's all that matters, I think. It's not all that matters, but it's the most important thing. And so that's what he was doing. And number 3, his petition. Daniel's accusers found him praying and making supplication. Daniel made no vague request. His prayers were specific, applicable, and passionate. I wish there were some examples to this, but they're saying this writer who wrote this says to be specific, applicable, and passionate about your prayers, which I guess would help for your subconscious to focus and help you to see when your prayers are answered. Some people, God gives them a gift and they don't recognize it because in their subconscious they're not looking for it, and when it comes right in front of them, like I've missed many opportunities and I don't realize it for 2, 3, 4, 10 years later. So if you're specific, then when the opportunity presents itself, you will say, this is the first step in the direction toward my goal. Or God has given me a path here to follow, and I will reach my goal. And number 4, I'll have to continue with number 4 next week. God bless you. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you later.